Hello, this is Will Faerber from Art to Ride, and today we're looking at the forced submission by Victoria of her horse, Vinny. Victoria reminds us she's still lunging this horse 4 or 5 days a week, and that's exactly what she should do. First year or so of a horse's work, we usually want to warm them up with a little lunge, especially if their backs have dropped a bit and we need some time to rehab them. So certainly a good idea to keep that lunging work going for the first year or so. Now, my basic rule of that is that I get on and ride a horse from the point at which I can get it over its back in the walk. I start decreasing the amount of time I spend lunging. But even if you just lunge for a few minutes, it really helps to set up a horse whose back has not been developed correctly, and we're taking some time to do that correction. So that's a good idea. Really good stretch here in the walk, though, and I really get a good feeling this horse is really starting to move forward now. That has come forward from behind under himself. Remember, that's what forward means. It does not mean to run straight ahead. Good leg yield here and a good rhythm in the step. So this has improved immensely since we first saw this horse. The horse is walking much more actively, swinging over its back, getting into a good stretch into the walk. So this is all very good work here and shows a lot of improvement. Victoria wrote that she's a little concerned about the dip behind the saddle. Just know that that will go away and takes a year to two to completely sort of resolve itself there as the horse develops more correctly over the back. But as long as you can get the horse into the stretch and get it working over its back, that will continue to improve on a daily basis. But what I'm really liking here in this video today is just the sense of free forwardness that the horse has in the walk. And that's really good. So much more active behind, picking its feet up. In other words, it looks like it's going somewhere. A little bit of a shoulder four right there, leg yield. Very nice, no loss of rhythm. Horse came up and down with its head a little bit, but the rider did a very good job there of keeping it going. I would like that stretch to be just a little deeper. You have moments here where you get it all the way there, and that's where we want to get it. Like right here, this is becoming better. But once again, the most important thing here is that I'm really seeing a good, active, steady rhythm with the horse. Still just needs to be a little bit deeper right here, and I think you can still get it just a little bit more active. But really it's pretty good, and good leg yield here into the outside rein contact. That's what we're looking for. It's like I can see your legs being used alternately, and that's really good. I love how he stretches down here. And notice each time as the horse stretches a little deeper into the walk, how much more active the hind quarters become. The step becomes more active. The hocks have a little more flexion in them as the horse takes a step. So always watch that as the horse's head and neck changes its position. What effect does that have on the back end of the horse? Good steady rhythm here. I feel like he could still be stretched a little bit more than he is, like right there. That's where I'd like to keep him. I like how you're using that technique of just widening your hands to be able to keep contact. That's exactly where we want to start. Once again, always remember that one of the biggest problems in riding instruction today is that teachers are tending to just teach people to pose on the back of horses as if the horse is going correctly, when that doesn't really work very well. Before a horse is really working over its back, we might do a number of things. There's time when we stretch up and bring our shoulders back behind the vertical, remembering that we never want to sit on a horse straight up and down, let our weight all the way down on the horse's back unless that back is up and supportive. Good active walk here, though it could be stressed a little more, but it's so much better than what we saw in the past with this horse. It's definitely more active, more swinging. I just want to get it to stretch just a little bit deeper and stay there more consistently. A good indicator is to watch the underside of the neck. You can see right here how he's still a little bit tense through the underside of his neck. When we see that really disappear, that sort of U-neckness go away, that's when we know the horse is really beginning to swing over his back, and we add a little activity to that at the same time. So good walk, but not as stretched as deep and consistent as we would like it to be. But it's certainly in the right direction, and just getting more active is the place to start. So I would have liked to have seen that stretch in the walk just get a little more consistent, get a little deeper and stay there more actively. Same thing here in the trot. While this is a freer, more active trot than we've seen, just needs to get the stretch working a little more actively and deeply. There, this is getting better. Watch as the horse stretches his head and neck down, how much more active, and just right even there for a couple of steps as he gets that little bit deeper stretch, we see more flexion in the hock. That's better right in there. What you'll notice is as he gets a little deeper into the stretch, you'll see a little more spring off the ground behind, because once again, that's the position that allows his back to work as correctly as it can for its level of development. So we'd still like to get this stretch a little bit deeper than what we have it here. Now it's starting to come really nicely right in there. Watch how all of a sudden the horse begins to spring a little bit. Look at the underside of the neck, how that's beginning to get looser on the underside of the neck. We don't see that little bit of U-neckness there. But that was really starting to happen really nicely there in that trot. And I was starting to see a little more spring off the ground as he started to stretch more forward. I think you could have kept that trot a little bit longer. Now, she mentions that she's hearing him breathing kind of hard. There's just sort of something that we can't really tell by the tape here. So certainly if you feel like he's breathing hard, you want to come back to the walk and let him stretch back out again. Kind of like interval training. Think of it that way. So when we never want to hear the horse laboring in its breath. If we do that, then we need to come back to a slower gait and let the horse get swinging and regain the rhythm of its breathing. So that would be the right thing to do if that's the case. Now, it looked to me like I would have liked to have seen him gone on just a little bit longer on the other side. You were starting to get a good stretch, and it was starting to happen. Now, this walk is looking better here. As you came around that corner there, he started to stretch a little bit deeper. So same thing here. We can still see that underside of the neck is kind of tense there. It goes like that, and we get him all the way into that stretch. And even when it's only there for a couple of moments, we see what a good effect that has on the hind legs. Better here, a little more swinging walk. Still want to get it that little bit deeper, so it gives up the underside of that neck completely. So always remember, when we see a thickening in the underside of the neck, it basically tells us that the horse is pulling with its shoulders rather than pushing itself forward from its hind legs and lifting its body. Really good there. That's much, much better. And look, even for just a moment there, how that underside of the neck becomes completely free. The step becomes longer and more active. Doing just the right thing in those transitions too, just not trying to keep the horse on the bridle, but letting the horse just move up into the trot. Remember, we never want to try to or get hung up on worrying about the transitions between the gaits till the horse will simply go consistently in the gaits themselves. When you can get a good consistent stretch in the trot and the walk, you'll find that the transitions between the gaits will just start to improve all by themselves. Where if we get hung up on trying to worry about that, we'll end up just worrying the horse into a slow pace and not letting him move off and forward, which is what we need to do at this horse's level. And also remember that has nothing to do with the age of a horse. It's the amount of time the horse has been trained correctly. Now that's starting to get to a really good place there. Once again, I see a little less tension in the lower side of the neck, and he starts to spring forward. Now this is about the best trot we've seen out of this horse yet. That's looking so much better. And you can see once again as he stretches down, each time he gets a little bit lower, we see a little more spring off the ground. Remember, if the horse's back is not round, the stride can't complete itself. As the horse pushes, it lifts itself up. What we call thrust is the degree to which the horse pushes the hind off of its hind legs up into a round back that lifts the forehand off the ground, lets the horse move more actively and freely forward. But that can only happen if the horse is working up through the back. So that got to a good place. We had some really nice little trot steps in that where the horse stretched a little more deeply, and that was excellent. Nice wide turns there in the walk. And certainly doing the right thing. What I felt like was you could have gone on a little bit longer than with that in the walk, but then I'm not there listening to it. And if you can hear the breathing getting hard, you're doing just the right thing to come back to the walk work. And once again, still a good active walk. Would like to see it stretch just a little more deeply and keep it a little more consistently. Once again, the right thing there, not to fight the horse over that transition. And I would like to see that sent a little more actively forward. You can see there the horse a little bit hollow there. We can see him pulling with the underside of the neck. See how that tightens up. But there it improves. That's starting to come really nicely there. You did just the right thing. You sent the horse forward actively from behind. And now look how much better the trot looks. That's what we're looking for, though. It could still be a little bit deeper, but this is really good. Yeah, like that. Notice how the horse begins to spring. Look how much more flexion we see in the hocks as the horse begins to stretch deeper into that contact. Really good there. And look how the horse begins to bounce off the ground. That's what we're looking for. All of a sudden it starts to take off and carry you forward. That was really good trot work there. Can still be just a little bit deeper, but that was certainly in the right direction. And there's certainly nothing wrong with coming back to the walk the way you're doing so. Now I'd like to see you in the next one be able to go on a little bit longer, get that stretch just a little bit deeper each time. But everything I'm seeing here is good. I certainly think you're right to stay away from the canter here. He doesn't look like he's quite strong enough to be able to do much of that yet. But just keep trying for that every now and then, every few days, once a week or so, and just see if the canter has improved. If it hasn't, just keep working on the walk and trot work. So again, we're always moving forward, trying new things, but then going back to what we know and reestablishing that to be sure that we're not creating problems in the process of trying to teach the horse new things or get it to develop to a higher level. So when we've seen this horse correct, when it's really gotten to the stretch, we've seen some really good work here in the walk and also in the trot. Just a matter now of getting it all to be a little more consistent. You certainly do want to keep up with your lunging work, as that will really help the horse develop its back so that each time you get on it, it'll be a little easier for you to do what you're trying to do. But I'm not seeing anything wrong here. Everything is going in the right direction. I can see your legs working there on the side of the horse, working in rhythm as you feel that inward swing, and that's just the thing to do. And once again, that's how we want to make that transition at this level, just bringing the horse right forward. I would have liked to give him a little bit of tap there, make him move a little bit more actively off that leg, just right out of that walk work. Good, now that's more like it. It still needs to be a little bit deeper once again. Watch as it goes down, how much more active the hind legs become. You're certainly on the right track here, and I applaud the time that you're taking to do this, of coming back to the walk and getting relaxed again. We just need to get all of our stretches just a little bit deeper, both in the walk and in the trot. We're having moments where it's there, like right there. That's starting to look really good. And look how much better the horse seems to bounce off the ground. Got a little up there again. So you're certainly on the right track. Try when the horse gets a little hollow just to lift yourself up a little bit and get a little behind the motion and send the horse forward till you feel the back come up underneath you a little more. That may help you a little bit. But really what I'm seeing here, everything is headed in the right direction. We just now have to get these stretches a little more consistent, and then you'll see a lot more improvement, in the hollowness of that back there as you see the back development. But we're certainly seeing much more activity on this time. Really nice right there. Now that's the best we get the horse, right there. All of a sudden the horse really starts swinging over the back. That's what we're looking for. This is Will Faerber from Art to Ride. Keep up the good work. Keep working for those deeper stretches.